Hi everyone, Ali is here from Australia. My pleasure to speak at BIM Coordinators Summit. In this presentation, we are going to talk about small businesses, startups, in-house teams, human resource management, productivity, and expectations of BIM specialists. With 10 years of experience as an employee and founder and director of a small business, I'm going to address all these challenges and solutions that I think might help our industry leaders to have a higher quality of BIM services in their projects. I have background of civil engineering and Master of Construction Management, and I worked as a BIM manager of first ranked construction builder in Australia for a couple of years before starting a BIM startup 5 years ago in Sydney. It might not be like other technical presentations you may expect, but I think it's critical to talk about this topic in our industry, the structure of BIM business. Some of our industry leaders may still think about 4D modeling, digital engineering, and BIM as a luxury. They may use BIM in their workflow because it's mandatory by government, or they may still thinking about the benefits and advantages of the BIM workflow and digital engineering. They may have questions if it's gonna help for real. We all know that yes, BIM is saving, BIM is reducing rework, BIM is really helping. We can actually build any project digitally first before going on site, to be very well prepared, organized, to have better communication with different parties, and to digitally build that job with all temporary works, construction methodologies, linked to the program, finding clashes, and everything. Actually building the job in a digital world first. But if we don't have a good structure of delivery in place, and we deliver low level of details, we deliver low quality of services, and we don't see the benefit actually at the end of the day, it might be a question mark for our industry leaders and for our decision makers if it's gonna help or not. But the problem is somewhere else. The problem is with the BIM structure, with the delivery team itself. And if this understanding and knowledge of BIM concept don't improve in our industry, at the end of the day, our people, taxpayers and end users are gonna pay for that, because BIM and digital engineering is going to save, and it's going to reduce reworks, and it's going to build better organized jobs for us. Sometimes they ask, Ali, how can you deliver such a high quality of BIM services in a short period of time? It's all about better dedication of human resources and motivation of BIM specialists, having an R&D team, and always using best practice workflows in delivery of these services. So it's all about the structure of teams that we are talking about here. Some of the times we are going to help in a couple of projects, and we approach industry leaders and decision makers, and they say, hey, we have our in-house team. When I have a look at their services delivered in their projects, we obviously see the quality of delivery and level of details are not as good as other BIM consultancies that might be able to help them the better. When I was an employee, I had experience in delivering these services in an in-house team, which was like wasting of my best skill sets, because I was a skilled BIM specialist and I had no kind of help when there were a couple of projects at the same time, and I had to do BIM modeling, 3D modeling, repetitive works again and again every day, and it was a waste of time for the skill sets that I had. Sometimes there were no projects at all, sometimes working after hours and weekends shifts and overloaded by projects. We all also experienced too much expectation in job advertisements. So they expect you to have all the skill sets a BIM department, a BIM company should have. But they expect you as an employee to have all these skill sets and to be master in all of them. That's impossible. Because of the structure of BIM delivery they might have in mind, focusing on having an in-house team. It's not gonna help. In the industry that we are working, in the AEC industry, the reason we having architectural consultancies, services consultancies, design consultancies, and we don't have all in-house is because of their focus and dedication, and human resource management would be much better in that structure. We don't see that for BIM services delivery in our industry. BIM professionals all have common sense in working after hours and overloaded. Job advertisements require jack of all trades, master of all. When you want to have an in-house team, you want the employee to have the skill sets of a team to cover lack of optimized human resource management we discussed earlier. Trying hard to gain experience, skills, and still have to do repetitive modeling every day, as the company cannot afford employing a modeler for you to help. We should still educate our industry leaders about the advantage of technology, BIM, and digital engineering in every single project. So we are educating our industry leaders and decision makers for decades, and they are still asking if it's gonna really help or not. And they are not really investing in BIM and digital engineering. I think it's better they leave it to BIM specialists with a much better BIM and digital engineering team structure. We have to think about BIM services delivery the way that we think about architectural design and other consultancies in our industry. Besides all those overloaded after hours workflows and all of those pressures on BIM specialists these days, there are other aspects that we are going to talk about. BIM specialists' motivation. Me myself, I had no motivation in keeping myself updated with best practices when I was an employee, because in that environment, no one really have a better understanding of BIM concept and best practices, workflows, new technologies in the construction industry. But when specialists work in a consultancy focused on delivering BIM services in its best practice and always updating themselves to better deliver services, they have better motivation to be updated. Sometimes it's like, who really cares if I learn new skill sets, keep myself updated, or upgrade my workflow in a fast-paced technological change? Sometimes we see low salaries despite all the skill sets, every year learning curve, and being updated with the latest tools and technologies. And BIM experts are tired of educating decision makers and industry leaders about the advantages and benefits of our services for decades. It's really enough, I think, and we need more regulations in place, and we need them now. Otherwise, we see our experts, our specialists, to change their career paths to better valued roles in the industry. I think BIM is very undervalued in our industry, and BIM specialists, despite all the effort they have in being updated, in learning new technologies, in helping our industry leaders and decision makers, we don't really see that value in the industry yet. I think it's better we trust and leave it to the hands of specialists who have dedicated their career and lifetime in this field. We all could be construction managers getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and counting, but we have dedicated our expertise and our lifetime in educating ourselves, in learning many software packages and skill sets to better help our industry, the industry that was automated for 5 to 10%, the industry that is behind all industries in adopting new technologies. We are doing our best, but we don't see really the intention in our industry to value what we are going to deliver. We can do even better in a BIM consultancy. We can have accurately, highly detailed modeling workflow. We can have engineering and construction management background in our teams. We have the experience of working on projects in the construction phase. We can have R&D team to be always updated in the world's best practice workflows that you might not be able to have that in-house. We can competitively price our services like having an in-house team for you, but you may have even more challenges recruiting, finding talents, training. But in a consultancy focused in delivering BIM services, it might be a better solution, to be honest. And we can have online collaborations with different teams and different parties, and investing in ourselves with hardware, supercomputers, to have higher level of quality renders and analyzing and processing. Because in your in-house team, when you don't have a focused BIM consultancy, but you have an in-house team to deliver mandatory BIM services, you may not have the intention to invest, but we do invest in ourselves. We do invest in hardware, workflows, software, training, R&D, and at the end of the day, it's going to benefit you and your projects. It would be much better to consider BIM services the way we consider architectural firms as a consultancy, the way we consider designs. You can even have a better culture and environment of working, lower pressures, smoothly dedicating resources, not when you have a project dedicating all of your resources and working after hours, overloaded resources, and sometimes that you don't have a project, it might be a waste of time and skill sets of those resources. We can have a better environment for our BIM specialists to work on projects, to better value it, and to see a better culture and environment to work in. We can have unlimited revisions because we can have a couple of resources dedicated on your projects in a short period of time when you have a couple of projects to be delivered. But you may not have this culture of unlimited revisions in your in-house team, and you end up having low level of details or low level of quality in delivery of your services. In conclusion, I think it's time to reconsider BIM services in a way architectural, design, or other consultancies shaped in our industry. Focused, recognized, and independent. We talked about the reasoning behind that, and there were all these reasoning behind shaping different consultancies in the AEC industry. It wasn't like having everything in-house for ourselves. That's a trend in our industry now, to have in-house BIM services team. But it's not gonna help. It's going to end up delivering low quality of services, low level of details, and our industry leaders and decision makers may think that it's a luxury and it's not gonna help because it's not delivered appropriately. You have an in-house team, you better not. Thank you for your time, and it was such a pleasure to speak at BIM Coordinators Summit. I think it was a topic that, with all my experience, it was a topic that I always wanted to talk about and have a discussion around, because we see value in delivering services in higher quality and higher level of details for our industry to enjoy. Thank you very much. I would be online from Australia to answer questions you may have. Please reach out if you wanted. Feel free to reach out if you had any other question, and I hope to have a better understanding of BIM concepts and workflows and quality of services. Everyone is in a rush delivering mandatory requirements, not focusing on quality and level of details, but we may be able to have a better structure by recognizing BIM consultancies to help with our projects, to have better motivation, to have better dedication of human resources, and better help us with our projects. Again, it was such a pleasure. Thanks BIM Coordinator Summit for your time, and have a great day.